Hello, it's Polish Paul VR and it's been a week since Firewall 0 Hour released. It was very emotional week, what a game. But today we're gonna have a look what the press said, because the developers stated it few times. They really wanted good coverage from mainstream media, so I'm gonna get all the reviews wrapped in this one video. We're gonna look at the website who's registered with Metacritic, because somehow that's the professional way to do it. From bigger website, media, GameSpot did review, rest of them is like a medium website. IGN just didn't bother. They probably was thinking, fuck it, every time we review game, people come into our comment section and say, learn how to play VR. And of course, all of us PSVR YouTubers, just anyone else, been on it from the day one, straight into the game. Apart from me, I went into coma, but now I'm back. So, what did the press said? We're gonna start from the lowest score and we're gonna progress gradually to the highest score. Push Square give the game lowest score, 6 out of 10. I'm not here to criticize reviewers or out. If that's how they felt like, fair enough. And what they said in the review is that they are not sure whenever the developers are brave or stupid, but developers will insist on releasing online-only multiplayer games for PlayStation VR. Fortunately for Firewall 0 Hour, it's one of the better attempts yet, but it's still plagued by the long waiting times that have affected titles like Starblood Arena and Spark in the past. They complain a bit that bouts are limited to single round affairs, meaning you can find yourself dead and buried in 60 seconds flat. But of course, it's not all bad. They said the best part about the game is how it allows you to interact with your teammates intuitively using gestures with the motion controls. And they also said that they worry that community might die off and then there will be nobody to play with, and therefore the game getting score 6 out of 10, which is not bad, as they say. Next we're gonna move to the Road to VR, who gave game 7.9. They also pointed out that each player only has one life, so this is absolutely not a run and gun game. It will take strategy, tactics and patience to succeed, both individually and as a team. Shooting generally feels good and works mostly according to known FPS paradigms. When it comes to which weapons work best in which situations, the time to kill falls into the Call of Duty realm. If you get caught off guard, you are likely to go down before having a chance to return fire. Regarding movement, they said Firewall 0 Hour uses free locomotion with the left thumbstick, while the right stick does snap rotations. May I just say, there is a smooth locomotion option. Movement is slow. The default walk is like a slow walk in the real life and sprint is like a fast-paced walk, while crouch walking is super slow but also quiet. Also regarding the immersion, they said having only one life per match amps up the sense of virtual embodiment, as death is much more punishing than in an FPS where you know you'll respawn just a few seconds later. So they gave game overall score 7.9. Very well. Next review. Dual Shockers give game 8.0. They said Firewall is a fantastic experience. However, that is not what defines it. It is not just experience, it is a legitimate video game. There are plenty of VR titles out on the market that provides a creative experience, but there might not be much depth to them. Firewall is not that. I spent hours playing and I never felt like I played enough. I just always wanted to play more. He's got fucking good point, because everyone who plays this game, you play for a bit and you end up playing for ages, because this game is very addictive. They also been talking about community, something what not many reviews spoken about. They said, what I found even more incredible is the community that has been playing the new VR title. I would say that in about 75% of the games I played in there were team members communicating with each other, and not one of them mentioned my mom. In a world full of toxicity in video game, it is refreshing to see random people online work together to win. Very nice review indeed. Very good points pointed out over here. Now we're gonna move on to the Eurogamer, the biggest of them all, who's been reviewing this game from the mainstream media, and they gave game 90%. They said Firewall 0 Hour is heavily inspired by Rainbow Six Siege. So much so, in fact, that many of the players I spoke to were veteran Rainbow players themselves. The slow-paced, tactical nature of Rainbow Six Siege translates incredibly well to VR, and it's an infinitely more comfortable experience for newcomers compared to some of the faster-paced shooters like Doom VFR or Killing Floor. There is generous amount of maps in rotation that take players from the offices of a social media startup located in the Gherkin in London through an open plan warehouse in Russia that's full of tanks. Each location looks great, and while they are a lot smaller than the maps in Rainbow Six Siege, none of them would feel out of place if they were to appear in Ubisoft's game. I have pretty steady pair of VR legs and I experienced no nausea at all, but even then I spoke to some players who said this was the first time a first-person VR game had it make them feel queasy. I have no idea why exactly this is. Maybe it is just that people were just having so much fun they forgot they were in VR altogether. But anyway, they love the game, 90%, very nice. Now we moving on to Upload VR, who gave game 90% as well, because probably they liked it. The cool thing they said is that the fact that online-only multiplayer-focused PSVR exclusive shooter that's best play with an optional PlayStation aim controller peripheral not only had smooth, nearly boom-free launch, but is thriving within the community and exceptionally fun to play, feels about as close to a miracle as possible. But here we are. If you own Rift or a Vive, then you've probably experienced a lot of this already through games like Onward, Pavlov and even Standout VR Battle Royale. But I'm here to tell you that despite what those games have accomplished, none of them have nailed the polish, accessibility and sheer tactical depths that the team at First Contract Entertainment have with Firewall. Honestly, if a non-VR shooter from AAA developer launched tomorrow on a consoles with this much depth for unlocks and progression, I don't think you see anyone complain about a lack of options. The fact that a VR-only game has that degree of parity from a depth of choices perspective is immersive. So that was Upload VR with the 90 score, and now we're gonna move to VR Focus with perfect 100 score, perfect, nothing just wrong with this game. They fucking love it just like we love it, and that's the review I like the most. Combat is where Firewall 0 Hour really shines, as you would expect. Everything feels immersive and real, there's some lovely animations at work, and the graphics in general looks polished and well handled. The guns have been modeled to have realistic recoil effects, and switching to a different weapons mean you need to learn how it behaves so you can go the best out of it. Playing Firewall 0 Hour in any mode, even solo training, nets you in-game currency that can be spent on upgrades such as new guns, skins and abilities, and progression is very nicely handled. Firewall 0 Hour has managed to avoid many of the common pitfalls of VR online multiplayer and add its own interesting twist to the military FPS genre. The lobby system could use some improvements, but otherwise it's a finely crafted title that will be of a great interest to FPS fans. So here you go, that's what the press said. And the game currently stands on 82 at Metacritic from the critics and 9.1 from the players. The players loving this game. It's amazing, and that's it, bye.